I am still able to buy cash flowing rental properties in today's market because of the Freedom Framework. In this video, I'm going to go over the 3-step process that I am using, giving you a real life example with real numbers to show you how I am still adding cash flowing, wealth building rental properties to my portfolio in 2025. If you're excited about actually seeing the real numbers, hit that like button. All right, so the 3 steps we're going to go over are step 1, finding a distressed property. I'm going to show you how I found the deal and run you through the formula I used to make sure it was a good deal to fund the property. Then the next step is finding the funding. And then the last step is doing the BRRRR method, which is buy, rent, rehab, and refinance. I'm going to walk through the numbers even there and show you how much to the penny I am cash flowing every single month. It's probably more than some of you think, but definitely less than some of you think. All right, let's dig into step 1. I got sent a deal to me, or someone on my team did, for a property in an area that I really like to own rentals in. So my acquisitions guy knew that I liked it, and he brought it to the table for me. They were asking $165,000 for the property. Let me show you how I was able to give them exactly what they were asking. So the formula that I use to make sure that a property is a good deal or not is called the max allowable offer formula. It's ARV times 75% minus your repairs and your cost. So after looking at this property and analyzing it pretty conservatively, I thought the property was worth $275,000 to $285,000 after it was fixed up. So being conservative, I put $275,000 in the formula times 75% and then subtracted out my repairs and my holding costs. It needed about $30,000 worth of work, not a ton, but we can make $30K go pretty far with our systems and our processes and our team. I had to add in some holding costs, so I put 40 grand in there to be conservative on that end as well. So if you do the math there, this gives you a price of $166K. So this was the most I was willing to pay for the property, and fortunately the wholesaler had it under contract for $155 but was asking $165. So I was able to buy the property for $165,000. So there's a lot of different places to get the funding for the initial purchase and rehab of investment properties. You got hard money lenders, you got private money lenders, you got home equity lines of credit that you can pull on your house. You have your own IRA that you can self-direct or self-direct someone else's. There's life insurance policy, there's stocks, there's money market accounts. There's a ton of different ways to borrow money from other people to purchase this. I was able to use for the purchase and the rehab a private money lender. So to give you a little bit more context there, let me tell you how you can find a private money lender. So private money lenders are just normal, everyday people. Private money lenders are not a rich parent, a rich aunt, a rich uncle. They're not people with tens of millions of dollars at the bank. Private lenders are insurance agents, engineers, teachers, police officers, lawyers, firefighters, just normal everyday jobs. And maybe the lawyer makes a little bit more money, but in general, they're people that are in the middle class, in their 40s or 50s, and they have access to money. You just haven't talked to them about it yet. We have 3 teachers that are private lenders. I don't know how much money they make, probably $60,000, $70,000 a year. So do decent, but not enough money coming from their day job to lend me $200,000, $300,000 on rehab projects and flips. However, they've lived at their house for the past 20 years. And in the past 20 years, their house has doubled or tripled in value, and they pay down the mortgage. So there's equity in their house that they tap into and lend to me. Or engineers. Engineers love their IRAs and their 401ks. However, they can't touch them until they're 60. You can self-direct that IRA, or they can self-direct that IRA and lend it to me at tax-deferred rates. So what you need to do is have conversations with normal people that have access to money either through their house, through a retirement fund, through an investment fund that they can pull out and lend to you. So there's a little pro tip for raising private funds. I have scripts and a ton of other things, and I have videos on this channel specifically about how to raise money for private lenders, and I have scripts for people in my community that they literally just read from the script and are able to pretty much raise money from people. All right, let's move on to step 3. All right, so step 1, we got the actual property, and we know it's a pretty good deal assuming we execute it properly. And then step 2, we got the money. Now on to step 3, which is the BRRRR method. Let me show you how it all works, and then I'm going to break down exactly how much I'm cash flowing on this property because we just got it rented. All right, so as I stated, we were able to buy the property for $165 grand, and we have $40,000 in our rehab budget. So I raised $205,000 from the private lender. I don't remember if this was the engineer or the teacher. Regardless, it was somebody that had a normal beautiful job. So they wrote me a check for $205,000. I then wrote that check for $165K to the title company and closed with clear title on the property. And then over the next couple months, my team wrote about $35-ish, $40,000 worth of checks to contractors and laborers and material sites to get the property ready to actually rent. So I had $205,000. I think we came in a little under budget, surprisingly. I feel like anything under $50K, we're usually at budget or under, but when it gets over $50K in rehab funds, or when it gets over $50K in actual rehab, that's where a lot of things can go sideways, and we usually put a little bit more fluff in there. So we came in pretty close to the actual number on this property, and then we got the property rented, okay? So we got this property rented to a great tenant for $2,300 a month. So that's how much we had coming in. Now we went on the refinance. We went with my DSCR lending company, but you can go with small local banks or national DSCR lenders. FasterFreedom Capital is my hard money lending company, as well as my DSCR lending company. So the property, as I told you earlier, was worth $275 to $285, and it actually appraised for $285K. Now I got an 80% cash out refinance on that. So 80% of $285,000 is $228,000. Now I owed my private lender $205,000 plus about $10,000 in interest to get them that 10 to 12% return on the time I had the money out with them. So they got a check back for $215,000. They wrote me a check for $205. 3 months later-ish, they got a check back for $215. So they're paid off, and I still had about $13,000 of money that I could have pulled out tax-free because as a refinance, I ended up keeping the money in the deal, so I had more equity in the deal. Now let's talk about how much I'm actually cash flowing, and then I'm going to show you the best part of this entire thing, what this property is going to do over the next 10 to 15 years, guaranteed. All right, here's the cash flow formula. The cash flow formula is rent minus all of your expenses, and this is actually what I'm cash flowing. So with my mortgage on the property at about $215,000, that cost me about $1,500 every single month in mortgage payments, the principal and the interest. Then the property taxes on this property are about $2,400 a year. So I set aside $200 every single month to pay for that. We set aside $150 every single month for maintenance. No, we don't use that most months, especially because it's a rehab property. Hopefully once or twice a year, we are doing something to the property, but we set money aside for that. And my team, internal team, charges me $100 a month for property management. We set aside 5% every single month for vacancy. So 5% of the gross rent of $2,300 is about $115 every single month we set aside. Our properties aren't vacant very often, but when they are, we have all these expenses still to pay. We're not collecting rent. So we set aside 5% of gross rent every single month to accumulate for when that tenant does leave in 3, 4, 5 years. We are able to pay all these other expenses with the money accrued. And then lastly, insurance is about $50 a month. I have quite a few properties, so I get pretty good rates on insurance. And at the end of the day, I am and will be cash flowing $185 every single month. That's not super sexy. $185 a month isn't something to write home about. However, all the other benefits I'm getting ready to show you that are guaranteed with real estate make this a hell of an investment. So today the property is worth $285,000 and I owe $215,000. So I have $70,000 worth of equity in this one property. But here's where it gets really fun. 15 years from now, this property will have doubled in value. So this one property I bought using none of my own money will be worth a minimum of $570,000 in 15 years. Real estate doubles in value every 15 years. Go look back historically at the charts. I have done more times than I can count. Real estate, especially at this price point, at least doubles in value every 15 years. But at the same time, the tenant's rent is paying down the mortgage. And that will conservatively be paid down to about $120,000. So I will have $450,000 of equity in one rental property I was able to buy using none of my own money. Do that twice and I'm a millionaire just from buying 2 rental properties using none of my own money in a 15-year period. At the exact same time, I am saving a crap ton of money on taxes that roll into my other businesses just from owning single-family rental properties as well as all the other real estate that I own. So as you can see, if you want to create wealth in any business, especially real estate, you have to be a long-term thinker. You can't get rich overnight, but you can get rich for sure and create wealth for sure if you stick with the plan and let time do its thing. Investing in real estate using none of your own money with this method is not going to put a ton of cash in your pocket now, but it will create a ton of net worth for you and eventually put a lot of cash in your pocket. You just have to be patient. Wealthy people think in decades, poor people think in days. Which one do you want to be? Hopefully this video helped. If you like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this with a friend, and check out this video over here to learn more about real estate. Oh yeah, don't forget to check out the description for some freebies. I'll see you on the next one.